Good morning, Earthlings. Good morning, Aaron here, aka AJ, aka Papa. It is January 8th, 2020, and I am back with another vlog to feast your eyes and ears indubitably upon you little morsels of desire. Lots to talk about today, and I don't have a ton of time because I'm running just a smidgy poo late for work. I slept in just a little bit, which is not good. Well, it doesn't matter actually. I just don't do it often, but I slept in a little bit, so we're a little pressed for time, but we'll get it all accomplished, so let's get it cracking. First and foremost, I started a new book last night. I initially started a book by E.M. Forster, which I could not read because I'm not a huge period piece type of person, which is funny. Well, more so I'm not so much like an English period piece like Pride and Prejudice type of reader. So I had to put that book aside, and maybe I'll be in the mood for it at another time. I'm actually going to pass it on to my mom because I think she would love it. But I started reading a book by J.S. Le Fanu called Uncle Silas. And J.S. Le Fanu wrote other books, but he's best known for this one, which is considered a horror book, which is interesting. So I'm going to read that, and I'm about 2 chapters into it already, and I already love it. And we will get into more about what it's about later, but since I'm pressed for time today, it's time to get to the quote of the day. Zen quote of the day. Zen quote of the day. Let's do it. Do it. What? I don't know. Alright guys, forgive my craziness, but anyway, Zen quote of the day today comes from Henry Ford, former president of the United States, and it goes a little bit something like this. Don't find fault, find a remedy. Again, I keep finding these really great short quotes, and it makes life really easy when I am trying to get things done within a time frame. Now, don't find fault, find a remedy. So good, right? I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to discuss more. Many of you know I've served tables for years and years throughout my life, and one of the things that's commonplace, and I've always found it really strange, is that quite often, because of the type of job that we do, and because of the fact that everything is on a time frame, and it's a really quick time frame, and sometimes we can't get everything done that needs to get done within that time frame, and so we have to cut corners. Specifically at the last restaurant I was working at, quite frequently people would leave trays of dishes in places around the restaurant, and it became a point of contention with a lot of other servers there. As you know, being something lazy or being something really inconsiderate. And so quite often what would happen is someone, upon discovering a tray of dishes, would sit in the server alley and scream at the top of their lungs, "Who left these here? Who left these dishes here? It's inconsiderate and it's rude. I want to know who left these dishes here. Somebody tell me who did it. Take responsibility for your actions. Blah, 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 blah." And they'd go on for about a minute, and nobody would take responsibility for it, and then we'd be on with the rest of our day. Now, in those situations, I always found it weird that someone would sit around and scream at the top of their lungs, trying to find a culprit for who left the dishes, when they could have just spent that time and energy just scraping off the dishes and putting them in the dish area. At the end of the day, somebody had to scrape the dishes and put them in the dish area, and a lot of times, since this person felt the need to scream and hold people accountable, they were the responsible one that ended up scraping the dishes off and putting them away anyway. So, was it worth the time and energy and the frustration to go on and on about it? Or would it have been more simple to just put the dishes away? I think the latter myself. And this is pretty commonplace in today's day and age, right? And I'm guilty of it too, sometimes when I'm faced with frustrating things, I want to look for the culprit or the person who has caused the situation for me, because it's so much more satisfying to place blame, right? It's so much more gratifying to find out who did it to you and go and sock it to them. but it's not necessarily the most healthy thing to do. If this person has put you in a position where, because of their actions, you now have to act in a certain way to remedy the situation, it's actually not at all helpful to seek out the person and blame them for it and throw a big fit about it. In fact, it just wastes energy that you could have used towards remedying the fact. Now, before anyone gets up in arms, I do understand that there are situations where people will consistently do things that cause you issues. And in those situations, I understand that you might confront a person and say, hey, these things that you're doing are causing me extra work and I don't really appreciate it. However, I still appreciate you as a human being and I still love you as a human being. Could you please maybe pick up the slack? That would be a great way to handle it, but that's often not how it gets handled, right? So you get frustrated, you get irritated, and then you go over and you scream at them, or you yell at them, or you unfriend them, or all of the plethora of things that we can do in today's technology age. We can passively aggressively make a post on Facebook about how this quote coworker or family member is abusive to you, and that's something that happens quite frequently in today's day and age, but it's not a healthy response to it. And the reason why it's not healthy is because it stirs up a whole bunch of contention amongst people in general, especially in situations where you reach out to society to garner some sort of sympathy to your situation. What it does is it breeds a mindset amongst people. So when they have the shared experience with you through you sharing on social media, what happens is they are forced or kind of coaxed into recalling a situation where they felt similarly. And because of that, they relive that situation, they feel the feelings of that situation, and they recall back the situation, and it brings up and stirs up emotions anew. So then they jump in and talk about their situation, or they jump in and talk about how unfair it is to you, and then you respond back with response to their situation, and everyone's jumping in this really negative dialogue that's not helpful to any situation whatsoever. If in the instance that you are confronted with something that someone has done, or a situation that maybe could have been remedied by someone's action, that now you are faced with because of a person's inaction, or because of, let's just say, them not being as thorough as they should be, it's oftentimes just best to pick up the slack and remedy the situation. If you have the time and the energy and the ability to fix the situation, why wouldn't you just do that? Now, I'm not just talking about just doing it begrudgingly, okay? So now you're in the dish room and you're scraping dishes and you're grumpy and you're cranky and you're scraping them in a really gruff way and you're slamming the dishes down, and the mood is still being felt. Whether or not you've said anything or not, the mood is still there, and you carry that mood with you for a while, and eventually it filters out into the world and affects people, whether or not you intend it to or not. I'm talking about doing it willingly and happily. When you see those dishes, and instead of saying, look at somebody's lazy inaction, look at somebody being lazy and ridiculous, instead of looking at it that way, looking at it as saying, oh my gosh, somebody must have been really busy. They didn't have time. So here, let me help you, okay? Let me help in this situation. Or in some circumstances, it's the same person, it's the same person doing that action. And just saying to yourself, instead of saying, oh, look at them, it's always them, they always leave dishes behind and it's ridiculous and I'm sick of it, you could say, wow, this person really struggles with this particular point in the job. I'm going to make a point of reaching out to them and really assisting them in this area of their job because it's something they struggle with. If we can look at a person's situation, or look at a situation that we're not thrilled with, and say, oh, maybe this is something that I can assist with, or maybe it's something that I don't understand, then we can approach it with a much kinder outlook. It's time that we as human beings accept responsibility for each other. I mean, I understand that there are people who take advantage, and that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about well-meaning people who are working hard and trying their very best and still are not able to bridge the gap. We as human beings, having this shared human experience, are responsible for each other because we are connected by the essence of who we are underneath this physical body. If you can remember that when you look at another person, you're in essence looking at yourself in the mirror, how would you want someone to treat you in a similar situation? I always ask myself that when I'm frustrated with someone. If I were in this reverse situation, if I had done this thing that is frustrating to another human being, how would I want the other person to respond to me? I would want them to respond with kindness and understanding, or ask what it is, ask for my motivations and try to understand where I'm coming from. That's how I'd want people to respond to me, and therefore that is how I try to respond to other people. And we all have our times, we all have our moments, we all fall short at certain times and snap at another human being and really lose our cool. But it's not so much whether or not that happens or not, but can you rectify the situation and how quickly you're willing to do so. I just had a friend recently who, because of something that happened between her and a family member, she really lost her cool on Facebook. And it was really bad. I mean, she told everyone on Facebook a lot of really personal things about this person, judging them, calling them out, really even calling into account this person's physical ailments and things like that. And it was really, really hard to watch. And as a fellow human being, as somebody who loved this person that was being called into question, I felt a desire to jump in, but I didn't. And I didn't because I knew that it wouldn't be received in the way that I wanted it to be received or was intending it to be received. And so I stayed out of it, but I monitored the situation. I called the person that was called into question and checked on her, and she was fine. Didn't really understand where it was all coming from, but just, kind of okay, not happy about it, but fine. And the following day, I went to check the post because I wanted to, I was curious about it. I mean, I think anybody would be curious. What else has been said? Has there been anything else said? Did she take it down? And so, of course, it wasn't there. And I thought, okay, well, good enough. This person thought better of it and took it down, and that's good. That's healthy. And later on that day, I was surprised to find that there was a post from this person who had done the original posting, and she basically had said in that post that she apologized for saying what she had said, that she had brought up things that were not reasonable to bring up into the situation, that she should have approached the situation on a one-on-one basis, and that she felt really bad for it and it wasn't her finest moment. And I then felt the desire to for sure step in, and I stepped in and just told her how proud I was of her, and that I knew that this was where she would end up at because I knew the type of loving person that she was. And this is something that doesn't happen often, right? People don't often take responsibility for their actions, and when people do, it's important to step in and just recognize that moment and say, this is not something that happens often, and I just want you to know that I'm proud of you and I appreciate who you are in being responsible and being holding yourself accountable for your actions. So I think that being remedy focused and not blame focused is so important in today's day and age because there is so much feedback all the time. So remember, guys, Henry Ford said it best: don't find fault, find a remedy. At the end of the day, finding fault and blame really avails you nothing. It's wasted energy, and most of the time you have to find a remedy anyway after it's all said and done. So let's skip the step of fault or blame, and let's get right to the remedy each and every single time. Let's seek to find understanding for why things are the way they are. Let's choose to look at our circumstances and challenges as something that we are excited and happy to overcome, and as something that will help us grow to the next level. and skip the whole section of our life where we try to hold other people accountable for the things that we were meant to experience. So, with that being said, I'm going to leave you guys the rest of your day. I have a full 8-hour day to work and then some delivering afterwards, and then I am gonna come home and relax with a good dinner. So I hope you all are having a wonderful time with all of this, and I hope it's impacting your life in a really positive way. Just remember, guys, this journey is all about you. Seek to look more inward and less externally, because at the end of the day, this is your journey. We are all connected, but this is your individual experience. How do you want to live it? Choose well today, guys. It's all about choice. Talk to you later. Bye. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm on break right now, and I love when I work 8-hour shifts because I get a 1-hour break at work, which is such a, you actually get to be rejuvenated from an hour. It's great. So I've already eaten my lunch, and I'm gonna read another chapter or two in Uncle Silas, and I'm sitting out in my car because it's so nice today that I just wanted to get the fresh air. And yeah, that's about it. And I don't know that I will do any more recording today because my video is already almost 15 minutes. So I'm going to stop now and bid you adieu, as I always do, but just a little earlier on in the day than I normally do. I hope things are going well with you guys and that you are enjoying your day and your life the way that you should be. Remember, life is all about choice. So choose to live a great life and choose to be happy with all that you do. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.